Rush Duel is a fast-paced spin-off game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you can summon as many monsters as you want and draw up to 5 cards each turn. In this series, me and the TheDrAlex progress through each Rush Duel product release and build decks with whatever cards were available at that time. We have been drafting characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's anime and have exclusive access to those characters' boss monsters, and will continue to draft characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush series. Join us as we continue to battle it out in this series, Rush Duel Character Draft. The High Grade Collection was released December 16th, 2023, and introduces support for specific anime archetypes, as well as a ton of reprints. Dark Executor Warlock can become Dark Magician, and by shuffling 10 spell cards back into the deck, can destroy a face-up monster. Flower Fan Clematis can protect itself from battle destruction and special summon a plant monster from the graveyard. Alex will get a new Galaxy Maximum in Super Galaxy King Lord of Galactica. He will also get new Blaze Fiend support in Blaze Fiend Overlord Lucilus, as well as some Summon Skull support in Skull Archfiend of Armageddon and Black Dragon Skull Archfiend. Alex will also get new Pyro support in Conduction Warrior Alchemicalizer Suirai, new Dark Galaxy support in Void Velger Chaos Machia, and finally, new Royal Rebel support, Royal Rebels Progressive. So this is the deck we're bringing to today's game. This is Dark Magician Solitaire, I guess? So the Solitaire deck is something I didn't really want to bring in its full powered form, because either the deck's going to brick and do absolutely nothing, or Alex is going to have a horrific time basically getting OTK'd while I'm comboing off again and again and again. I don't think that'd be very fun for Alex specifically, which is why we haven't really want to bring that deck. But this is the Dark Magician variant, which is definitely a lot weaker. So we have our new boss monster in Dark Executor Warlock. This card is 2500 attack, 2000 defense, so it's Dark Magician statted. We can send the top card of our deck to the graveyard. He becomes Dark Magician. Then you can shuffle 10 spell cards from your graveyard into the deck. If you do, you can destroy a face-up level 8 or lower monster. So I was thinking to myself, what is the best way to play a deck that can just fill up the graveyard with spell cards? And I think Solitaire is kind of the only really good way to do that. So the only real way we have to get this effect off is to play it in the Solitaire deck. Now obviously we could just change it to Dark Magician, and that will basically mean that we have 4 copies of Dark Magician, which will help us activate things like our Dark Magic Attack or our Thousand Knives. But I think we really want to try and get that pop just to kind of show it off. It'll be more fun to do that. So the main boss monster of the Solitaire half of the deck is Obsidian Magical Soldier. So this card gains attack equal to the number of spell cards in your graveyard times 100. If you have 5 or more spell cards in your graveyard, he gains 500 more attack, which means if we get 5 spells in graveyard, he instantly becomes 3,500. Now the whole point of the Solitaire deck is to basically fill up your graveyard in one turn, get out 1 or 2 magical soldiers, get them up to 5,000-ish attack, and then slap a couple of magical Lance Grey Spears on them, and then hit your opponent's defense monsters or their face attack monsters, and completely kill them. But that's not really kind of what we're going for. I mean, that is kind of the game plan, but we're more playing into the Dark Magician side of the deck, so this is kind of probably still going to be our main win condition, but we're not going all in on it. We also have our Sword Dawn Magician, which is if your opponent has more face-up level 7 or higher monsters on their field than the number of monsters on your field, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you have 6 or more spell cards in your graveyard, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So these other cards are pretty good, and all of these monsters are Dark Spellcasters with 2500 attack, which does work with quite a lot of our support. We're playing the one of Dark Magician Girl. This is basically in here just to be an extra body off of Duel of the Dark Magician, which can be pretty cool. And we're playing 3 mature Dark Magician who can also get you back Dark Magician from your graveyard, which can be pretty good if we do actually see our Dark Magician. Malevolent Seller is in here because, again, we do have a little combo of this, which is if we can get our Malevolent Catastrophe into the graveyard, we can use Seller to pop a monster and take back Monster Reborn, then use Monster Reborn to bring back a Seller, use its effect, pop a monster, get back Monster Reborn, and this is kind of a little loop we can do to keep getting back cards, which is pretty good, and pop a lot of monsters. We have basically then just the Solitaire core. We have the Recovery Force to empty our graveyard to be able to use things like Cat's Choice. Cat's Choice is the main card in the deck, which is if your opponent has a monster, we can send the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard. If we have 3 or less monsters in our graveyard, we can add 1 card from our graveyard to our hand. So if we can get 2 Cat's Choice, we can keep looping them again and again and again, which is why we do play a bit of a less monster count, and we do have ways to get monsters out of our graveyard, so we can try and keep Cat's Choice as live as possible. We are playing a lot of level 7, so Ship of the 7 Treasures is a no-brainer. Resolve is also really good, pay 1500 life points, and then we can mill 3 cards. Again, we want the cards in the graveyard anyway, but we can then summon an effect monster 2500 attack, and guess what? Most of our monsters are effect monsters 2500 attack. Duel of the Dark Magician is a monster reborn for a 2500 spellcaster and a 2000 spellcaster that also can summon them from the hand, which is pretty good. Spellbook Rejection, this card is always going to be live unless we hit our 1 of Malevolent Catastrophe, which we want in the graveyard anyway. But we send 4 cards to the grave, and then we can draw 1 card if all the cards sent are spellcasters or spell cards. And then Spell Extraction, we can send one of our other spells to the graveyard, draw a card, then we can reveal one of our boss monsters, and then we get to draw another card. So this is the deck. We're feeling pretty good about this. I feel like either we're going to brick, and the deck's going to do absolutely nothing, or we're going to get to play like a slower version of Solitaire, hopefully be able to summon out some big guys, hopefully get some pops off of our Warlock, and hopefully get to resolve Dark Magic Attack to kind of end games. But let's fire on in and see what Alex has got for us. So last week we had a bit of a funky matchup. We had the Sky Saviors versus the Wind Psychics. So there was some stuff that happened there, but for the most part, what we've learned is that Sky Saviors are still kind of an asshole deck. Wind Psychics do still have the power to kind of erupt, right? And just kind of completely demolish a game. But I think we use this word quite a lot, but I think that's because it's very apt in Rush Duel. Wind Psychic feels a little bit too fair, right? In that other decks sort of do what it does, but in a more unfair way, right? Like Wind Psychics have got their new fusion support. They have like their own new polymerization style card, but I feel like it's still not Seven's Wonder Fusion, right? It's still not necessarily as good as the Wind Warrior, but kind of also Seven's Wonder Fusion. I forget what that card's called. But, you know, Sky Saviors, they be floodgating. We do have a brand new set out today, or yesterday, which is the High Grade Collection, which is a bit of a weird set because it does actually contain quite a lot of support for a bunch of different archetypes, but there's not a ton of support for each of those archetypes, and there is a metric crap ton of reprints. So there isn't actually that many new cards. I'd say probably half the set, if that, is new, and half the set is reprints. So it's a weird one. I would definitely say that you've gotten the better end of this in terms of quantity. I don't know about quality. I haven't like gone through with a fine comb and looked at all of your cards because I think it is more fun to kind of experience them. Like I will know some of them from like the show, right? Like if you go with your Galaxy deck, I've seen the maximum, right? I have an idea of what's coming there.
Yeah.
As for me, my options are a little bit more limited. I've got some more Celebro stuff. I got some Dark Magician support. And I got some new plant stuff. And then like splatterings here and there of a few other bits. So I'm a little bit more restricted, I guess. But I think that's something we're kind of used to at this point. I think somehow we've just worked out in a way where I generally get very little support. One of these days, though, those rock cards are going to come, Alex, and then you'll see. Or we'll get some more dinosaur support, and then, I'll be laughing then. But yeah, let's you'll just fire it in, and then we'll just see what we're both on.
Yeah, let's go.
Wow. Hey. Alright, we will be going first, I think. Interesting. Maybe I should have gone second with this. Maybe that would have been better. But it's too late now. I'm going to activate Spellbook Rejection. So I have 10 or more cards in my deck. I can excavate the top 4 cards in my deck, send all excavated dark attribute spellcast type monsters and spells to the graveyard, shuffle the remaining cards into the deck. If I send 4 cards to the graveyard, I can draw 1 card.
Okay.
So you might have noticed that I am playing some spellcastery stuff. Right, I'm going to shotgun a card that's probably not the correct move, but I want to do it anyway. So I'm going to activate Resolve. So by paying 1500 life points, I send the top 3 cards in my deck to graveyard, then I can special summon an effect monster 2500 attack from among the cards sent. So I bring out the Obsidian Magical Sorcerer, who gains attack equals the number of spell cards in my graveyard times 100, and if I have 5 or more, he gains another 500. So because I have 6, he's a big boy. Then we're going to set, and pass.
Okay.
Ooh.
Fiend Warrior.
Oh, I was. If you had asked me what I was predicting you were going to be on, this was not what I was expecting, but I can understand why. They have another face-up fiend monster in your field, send until 3 cards out to the graveyard. If a level 6 is amongst them, draw a card. Okay. Royal Demons. So this is a new one, right? Elite Amp.
Mm-hmm.
If 3 or more fiend type monsters in your graveyard, or have King's Greed in your graveyard, add a level 5 or higher fiend monster with 0 or 2000 defense. Okay, that's pretty specific. From your graveyard to your hand, you can only attack with fiend monsters this turn. Okay. So you currently have 2 fiends in graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
And
Then
neither of them
will
have the correct stats anyway. Oh, no, it's defense.
Shadow Buyer.
Okay, yep, Shadow Buy is pretty good. Shuffle a monster from your graveyard into the deck, increases card's level.
Into attributing these guys to the new Aurora Rivals Progressive.
Okay, so during the turn, you normal summon this card by attributing a level 5 or higher monster, destroy a spell trap on your opponent's field, then you can destroy 1 face-down card on your opponent's field. Okay. But I do still have my monster, which is very big.
Yeah, you do. Oh.
Well, you did get rid of my legend trap. This is a funky hand, I'll tell you that much. Simply going to normal summon Mature Dark Magician. Like I said, a dark attribute spellcast type monster from my hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card, then I can summon Dark Magician from the graveyard. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a Dark Magician in the graveyard currently. But we will use the effect, and we will simply send... I mean, am I sending this? No, I want to keep him. But then, am I ever going to be able to resolve his effect this turn? 3, 4, 6, 7... Oh, no, I'm not, so I don't think there's a point in keeping him. So I'm going to discard my Dark Executor Warlock, who is the card I really want to summon, but I don't think I can get 10 spell cards in the graveyard. It's also a bit weird how this card is, you know, you need to shuffle 10 spell cards from your graveyard into the deck, so you've really got to be playing a crud ton of spells to make this work. Which is why Obsidian Magical Soldier works quite well with it, because he also wants to have a crud ton of spells in the graveyard. Let me activate Recovery Force. So I'll shuffle all 3 cards from my graveyard back into the deck and draw a card. Then we're going to activate my Catois Choice, which mills 3 and lets me add a card from my graveyard back to my hand. So I think I'm going to take Catois Choice. And then I'm going to activate Catois Choice. Monsters. We needed to not hit another monster, but we did. Okay, what's next? I guess we'll summon Mature Dark Magician, activate its effect, and I will discard Mature Dark Magician to draw a card. Then I'm going to fire off my Spellbook Rejection. So again, we excavate the top 4, send all spells and things to the grave. Ooh. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite do what I need it to do. I'm like 1 card shy of what I want to do, so it's just going to do this instead. I'll tribute 2 and summon out another Obsidian Magical Soldier. Set back row, go to battle, and then we're just going to hope that you haven't got anything back there. Hoping seems to be working.
Yeah.
And then we'll... What I'm really afraid of is that you're playing just regular heavy metal. Because he hurts me so much.
Really don't want to get you now, but...
Kobold.
Nope.
Yeah, I was going to say, right now I have no piercing, double attack, or direct attack. So, we'll have to see if we can find any. Throw down Recovery Force. I'm going to throw some cards back in my deck. So I'm going to send back 1, 2, I guess 3. And then draw a card. Okay, we're going to have to Magical Stone Excavation. I'm going to send 2 cards to the grave, and I'm going to take back Dark Magic Attack.
Ooh.
Then I'm going to go straight to battle phase, and I'm just going to swing. And then we're going to swing again. Then we're going to pass.
Okay, so if I flip this over, yes, I can activate this.
Okay, so King's Greed, shuffle level 5 or higher light attribute fiend type monster from your graveyard into the deck, shuffle 3 level 7, or shuffle 3 level 7. Change the attack position light attribute fiend monster on your field to face down defense position, then you can draw 2 cards. Okay. Wait, face up defense position. Okay. And if your opponent has a face level 7 higher monster, send target deck to the graveyard this turn. This can be treated as 2 tributes. The opponent has 2 monsters, increases card's level by 1. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so this is the big punish.
Right now we have the King's Greed Grove now, so we can activate the Elite Amp.
Mm-hmm.
Grab Great Marju.
Okay. Now don't forget Great Marju's original attack. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't have a good way to deal with set 3 monsters. But we got to see what both of our decks could do.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens in game 2. Alright, let's go first again. See what we can find. Okay, let's start with rejection. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I guess I'm gonna shotgun the resolve. Fortunately, we didn't hit anything. Then I'm going to activate Recovery Force. And I'll put these 3 back in. That is like possibly the absolute worst card I could have drawn. So I'll summon out a monster, tribute set, and then I'll set 2 and pass.
5s and 6s. I didn't see any. Set. Guardian Kobold. Heavy Metal. Maju.
Okay. Dark Magician Girl.
Oh yeah, of course you're on the Magician.
You think so? I haven't seen a lot of Dark Magician cards yet, but... Alright, we will ship the 7 treasures. I'll discard my Obsidian. We'll draw 2. That's very funny. Then I'm going to activate Recovery Force. Put everyone back in. Draw 1. Then I'm going to activate Catois' Choice. We'll mill 3 and add a card from grave to hand. We've sent 3 monsters to graveyard. That's kind of funny. What do I want back, though? Monster Reborn. Next up, I'm going to activate Jewel of the Dark Magician. And with its mighty powers, I will summon this... Oh yeah, I put Thingy back in, that's right. Then I'll activate Monster Reborn. And I'll bring back my Dark Executor Warlock. I'll activate his effect, which will let me put 10 spell cards from my graveyard back into my deck. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no, that's not 10. That one. Return to my deck spell cards. And then I pop your monster. And then, behold, Dark Magic Attack as Dark Executor Warlock is... Oh, that was it. All set.
I mean, not nothing.
Well, yeah, but I was trying to hit like a magic cylinder or something, right? So this is like 5,000 damage, so there's no possible way I get this any higher than that. So we will go to battle, and we will just swing. And then we'll swing again. And then we will pass.
Okay. I mean, we can still activate his effect. Oh, there goes the thing I could have drawn. Kobold.
It's funny how you have all these new cards and still the original heavy metal is what I'm afraid of.
Because he's got the best effect.
Just popping face up guys and gaining attack is just really good.
Reveal and special summon cul-de-sac the faceless.
So, by revealing a fiend monster in hand, face-up fiend monster you control gain 300. Oh, so he's like a lord from Magic the Gathering. Just buffs dudes.
Oh.
Yeah. Doom Metal's a bit funky, isn't he? Destroy all face-up monster opponent's field, then inflict damage, but only if you tribute summon 2 level 7 or higher. Yeah, go on then. Go, Malevolent Catastrophe! Yeah, no King's Authority for you.
I may have buggered myself there.
So right now, if I attack your guy, you take 16. So I need to find a way to get 1100 damage. Alright, behold, the first step of the master plan. Recovery Force! Back to my deck, everyone. Then, Catois' Choice. I will take back. Catois' Choice. Go, Catois' Choice. I will take back. Catois' Choice. Go, Catois' Choice. Yes, I will take a card back. Do I take Catois' Choice again? What does my hand actually... If I don't exactly kill... Do I have lethal on board? I think I do, right?
I don't know, do you?
Well, I've got a 39, you've got a 13. So
Oh, right.
26?
You need 1 more 100 damage.
Then we will take Catois' Choice. Go, Catois' Choice.
There it is.
Yeah, let's not drag this out. Battle phase. Go!
Oh, yeah, I could have. I should have tributed 2.
That right there, though, is exactly why I think Catois' Choice needs to get hit. It's so good when it works, when it does what it needs to do. Catois' Choice is broken. When it doesn't do what it needs to do, it's a bit mid. So I think put this card down to 1 is what I would like to see in the future.
Yeah.
Anyway, 1 apiece. Let's see what happens in game 3.
A second.
Okay. This is one of the hands of all time. I will set. Then I will set, and set, and then pass the turn.
Okay.
Loyal Rebel Guardian.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get this off. Tribute them away.
It's the boy.
Progressive.
Ooh, pop 2 back rows. Well, I guess you could pop a face down monster if you want to. You already hit Monster Reborn. You hit Jewel of the Dark Magician, which is kind of Monster Reborn.
Do you have any monsters that become Dark Magician in the graveyard?
No, unfortunately. Which is why mature. So that's why I prefer the Blue Eyes support cards, because they let you be Blue Eyes in lots of different places. You just with Dark Magician, you've got one guy that becomes Dark Magician while he's on the field, and he's very counter synergistic with a lot of what the rest of the deck wants to do.
Yeah, Red Eyes and Summon Skull also have a card each that does that. It's weird that they've not given Dark Magician one.
Yeah, maybe it's because the Dark Magician support cards are considered a little bit better, right? Being able to pop all your opponent's back row, basically a Harpy's Feather Duster. Being able to pop face up and face down cards with Thousand Knives. Alright, I will begin by activating my Resolve. Shit. I don't want a monster though. Alright, I will activate Magical Stone Excavation. I will send 1, 2... And then I think I actually have to just take Resolve here. I kind of just need to find a monster. Go Resolve. God damn it. I mean, this is going to happen from time to time.
How many spell cards are you running in that deck?
It changes based on side decking, but I think I started out with 20 something. And now I think I'm on closer to like 26.
Yeesh.
But you need to have a critical mass of spells for anything to do anything in this deck.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
But so much of it is just gas. Like, if you look at my graveyard, right? Catois' Choice is gas. Ship of the Seven Treasures is gas if you have monsters. Jewel special summons the high-level monsters from the deck or the graveyard, so even if I mill them, I can get them back out. Resolve is gas. It either fills up the graveyard or it finds me the monsters I need.
Alright, let's... Boop, King's Greed.
Mm-hmm.
Send a Doom Metal. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Draw 2, because I can... We will reveal... Phaser.
Okay.
Special summon our cul-de-sac boy.
Mm-hmm.
Activate Phaser's effect.
Okay.
Set. Go to battle.
Okay. Well, you did have lethal, so... Phaser had exactly 400 attack.
Oh, right.
I have a chance!
I mean, you have 2 back right there. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Mess me up a little bit. I guess we'll just start with this. I will start with Spellbook Rejection. That's a very funny draw. Fortunately, although it's very funny, it doesn't help me. So I'm going to normal summon out Mature Dark Magician. I'm going to activate its effect. I'm going to send my Warlock to grave. Ooh. Okay, that kind of does something. I will special summon my Sword Dawn Magician, which is if my opponent has more face-up level 7 or higher monsters on my field than the number of monsters I have on my field, I can special summon it. And if I have 6 more spell cards, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects.
8.
Next up, we probably do this, right? As much as I would love to keep him around, I don't think that's in the cards. So I'll Tribute 2, summon out my Obsidian Magical Soldier. Then I'm going to Recovery Force and throw some cards back into my deck. Then I will set this and activate for the first time Spell Extraction. So I send a card from my field to the grave. So I'm going to send my Resolve I can't use. Then I can reveal that I have a high level in my hand and draw another card. Oh, that's... Is that a good draw? Kind of is. You tell me if a back row or something, right, Alex? Well, we're going to do this anyway. We're going to activate Jewel.
Face down, Matt. I can't see what it is.
I guess we just do this and this, right? Behold my power.
Oh, it is. Cool card.
And then, because you sound so calm and collected, I'm going to assume this isn't going to work, and I'm going to die to a magic cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no way to, So I could have gotten a Dark Eradicator Warlock, or whatever his name is, but I could not get the Dark Magic attack as well. So I was like, I could summon that, but then there's nothing else I can really do about that. But we got to see what both these decks could do. My deck is basically a bad version of Solitaire, right? Solitaire does what this deck does, which is pump the graveyard full of spell cards. That is the bread and butter of Solitaire. But Solitaire basically doesn't play any of the Dark Magician stuff and just plays Obsidian Magical Soldier Turbo. And the idea is you just get out 1 or 2 Magical Soldiers, you give them some Grace Spears to give them piercing, and you just slap over your opponent. So this is like the fun version of the deck, which basically plays the Dark Executor Warlock to try and, you know, do the whole Dark Magician thing. Now, technically, what this deck's trying to do is at odds with itself, because the Dark Magician stuff wants me to fill the graveyard with spells and then put them back, whereas the, like, Solitaire part of the deck wants me to just leave them in the graveyard and just pump the graveyard as big as possible. So, like, it's a little bit funky, but it was cool to be able to use Execute Warlock, because I was looking at this card and I'm like, in an average Rush deck, you're not even going to play 10 spell cards, right? So it's awkward to meet that requirement without literally stuffing the graveyard, or should I say the deck, full of spell cards, and then, you know, in turn stuff the graveyard full of spell cards.
Yeah.
A lot of these cards do work quite well in this. A lot of the cards in here do work with Dark Attribute Spellcasters with 2500 attack, so Duel of the Dark Magician works with that. Resolve just says affect monster with 2500 attack, and every boss monster in the Spellcaster archetype, except for, like, you know, the Sevens Road stuff and the Celebro stuff, is all 2500. The deck just, like, it does what it does quite well. The main issue I had in here was obviously back row removal. If I didn't get exactly Dark Magic attack, it was a bit awkward. The Solitaire version of the deck plays Ghost Cyclone, but because I'm playing a higher monster count than that deck, it means that I'm going to have more monsters in the grave more often, so it didn't really fit.
Yeah.
But your deck seems pretty cool, right? Progressive is something I think the deck needs, but it's still a little bit awkward because it's another high level in the deck. And it does pop back row, which is what you really need as Royal Rebels. And the other big problem Rebels have always had is if your opponent just keeps setting monsters, Rebels do not have a good way to deal with that. They just go, all my cards pop face-up cards, so I guess I just don't get my effects and I just have to attack into your defense monsters forever and ever and ever. But now they have a way to pop face-down monsters and pop back row in Progressive, which I think sorts out a lot of their problems. I don't know how I feel about Cul-de-sac. I think he's cool. I don't know if he's helping out the Rebels that much. Right? Like, a 300 boost is decent, and being able to summon him without tributing is also decent. I don't know if I would be able to find room when you're trying to play like all of the stuff like Phaser, which all work to forward the Rebel plan itself. But he is a level 6 that can get summoned without tributing, so that in itself does kind of really help out with, at the very least, heavy metal, right?
Yeah.
I suppose
and
progressive as well.
The only trouble one is Doom Metal, which requires 2 7s.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't really like Doom Metal that much. The one that I really like that you're not playing is Invasion. And the only reason I like Invasion is because he can be used with the spell card that's really good for Royal Rebels. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one which, like, you can bring back a level 7 Royal Rebel from your graveyard, and then if you brought back... No, I think it's like you can bring back a level 8 or lower from your graveyard, but then if you brought back a 7, you can then add a card to your hand as well, or something. It's something along those lines.
Royal Rebels Echo.
Yeah, that.
Is in the side deck, because I'm running 1 copy of Invasion.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? That spell card is what gave new life to the Royal Rebels, you know, back when they got kind of their second wave of support. Obviously, it's hard, I think, to try and squeeze in everything, right? You can't fit in Doom Metal and Progressive and Heavy Metal and Invasion at 3 copies all in the same deck because you're just begging to just brick constantly.
Yep.
We also didn't get to see your new trap card. I popped it at one point, but we did get to see King's Greed, which is an interesting card. It's a weird one, right? Change a card to face at defense, then draw 2. I mean, drawing 2 is great. It's just... It's very odd that it changes the monster to defense position. I guess the idea is to try and make it so you can't just, like, go completely ham and get a load of advantage. But the interesting part of this card, I think, really is you can shuffle 3 level 7 or higher light attribute fiend monsters from your graveyard into the deck, which means this card can be refill up my deck with cards that I really want to use again, change a guy to defense, and then Pot of Greed. Because you don't lose anything, right? If you're not sending that level 5 or higher, you're just gaining 2 cards. Well, you're losing the card itself, so you're gaining 1 card. But yeah, it's Pot of Greed. Oh, but that was a good one. GG, buddy.
GG.